Hey, 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 it is an unstoppable day. And welcome to another episode of Talking Small Business with Terrence. And I'm your host, Terrence, the unstoppable Coach Leffridge. Here at Talking Small Business with Terrence, it's our job to help small businesses like you go from being stuck into being unstoppable. And we do that by bringing in other small business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, experts to help you share their tools, tips, and strategies to help you move from that stuck state in your business into the unstoppable business that you created it to be. So come on in, like and share. Come on in, like and share. And also, we are interactive here at the show, so make sure you're putting comments in the feed, whether you're watching us live or whether you're watching us on the replay. Put in the number 1 if you're watching us live and where you're watching us from, and then put the number 2 if you just happen to not be able to catch us live, but you're watching the replay. And as always, we want you to make sure that you have your pen and your paper with you, because we know that note takers are money makers. And we've got a great show for you today. We are talking about sales competency. Yes, how competent are you in your sales, and how consistently are you communicating your competence? The consistency in which you do it and the effectiveness in which you do it makes the difference between your business being a business that is flourishing or a business that's floundering. And so we're going to talk about that today with our guest. She is your sales consultant on demand. She helps you develop a plan so that you can check your own sales competency and that you can become a leader in your area of sales, taking your business to the next level. I've had the opportunity to be on shows with this powerful woman, and she definitely brings the heat, and she brings it in a no nonsense way. She gives you the meat and potatoes, not just the sides. So we want to welcome her to the broadcast as she gives you the meat and potatoes about how you can be more competent in your sales delivery. So let's welcome to the stage the sales consultant on demand herself, Miss Donna Smith Bellinger.
And the crowd goes wild.
Woo!
Good morning, Terrence. It's such a joy to be here with you.
Hey, and it is such a pleasure to have such a powerhouse like yourself in our midst this morning to help us with our sales competency. Now, I could read everybody's bio from the first word to the last and
Please
still
don't.
can't capture the essence that you bring to your own personification. So take a second, Donna, and introduce yourself to the TSBT audience.
Well, again, thank you so much. I love morning shows because I am a very high energy person. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get deeper into our topic. But I am Donna Smith Bellinger, your sales manager on demand. I have decades of experience in sales, high ticket sales. I have sold everything from Avon to multi-million dollar tech systems. I'm a trainer. And I am an adjunct, and I sit on boards, and I do all of these crazy things. But I started out as a homeless teenage mom. So for those of you who think, oh, these things are not possible for me, don't believe that. Don't believe that at all. So at 18, I became disowned. I had a bouncing baby boy, and back then that wasn't done. I moved into education and educational sales. Then I moved into corporate sales. I became a leader of sales teams. The sales teams I led were male dominated sales teams. And that was a very interesting journey in itself. But now what I do is help people just like you to shorten your learning curve so that you can create your own economy, so that you don't have to depend on everybody else in order for you to do what you need to do, so that you acknowledge that work is what you do to provide the lifestyle that you want to have for yourself and the people who depend on you. That's what I work with when I'm working with my people on their sales.
Wow, that is a mouthful, but that is some great information. And, I love how you started it out because you let business owners know, because when they look at shows like ours, they see the fluff, they see the presentation, they see the accomplishments, they tend to think that we all have that silver spoon in our mouth and we were born with it. But you came from struggle, you came from conflict, you came from having to make hard decisions to get to where you are right now. And to be able to share that part of your story, I'm sure it endeavors your clients to you and understanding how you will take the same amount of competency that we're talking about and compassion in dealing with their situations. Do you find that to be the case?
I find it to be a really kind of cool equalizer. It's like, I don't want to hear the stories. I don't want to hear the excuses. How bad do you want it?
Mm. I like that. I like that. So, and I think that runs into our quote of the day. So, each and every week, we always have a quote that goes along with the show. And today, since we're talking about sales competency, I found this quote from Patricia Fripp that I want to share with you. It says, "It is not your customer's job to remember you. It is your obligation and responsibility to make sure they don't have the chance to forget you." I'm gonna say that twice because somebody
Oh
in the
yeah,
back
because I use
needs to
that in
hear
my
that.
presentations all the time. Say it again. Say it again.
It is not your customer's job to remember you. It is your obligation and responsibility to make sure they don't have the chance to forget you. To paraphrase it, I would rather you not forget me. I would rather you want to anticipate the next time you get to see me. So, what does that
Absolutely.
quote say to you when you hear that, Donna?
When I share that quote with my folks, because I shouted hallelujah the first time I ran into that quote, I tell them that anytime you have a conversation, a sales conversation, a networking conversation, and this goes along with consistently communicating your competence, you want the result of that engagement for them to lean in and say either, how can we work together? Or I have someone I want you to meet. That shows that you've achieved your goal.
Absolutely. You want every conversation to turn into a conversion, whether it's converting a lead, whether it's converting into another prospect, whether it's converting into another sale, or whether it's converting into another collaboration. But you just don't want that conversation to fall flat. Now,
No, you don't. And Grant Cardone said, and I had to shout hallelujah on that one too. He said at the end of every sales conversation, somebody gets sold. Either you sell them on your product or service, or they sell you on why they're not going to buy.
oh, yeah. Or the other way around, you end up buying from them and they don't buy from you. Man,
That's a
oh
whole nother show.
absolutely, absolutely. We're hanging out with Donna Smith Bellinger talking about sales competency today on the TSBT. We've got Dee Bowden who is joining us in the comments. She's saying good morning and happy Tuesday, watching from Frederick, Maryland. Hey, East Coast. And she says a specific good morning to you, DSB. Everybody knows you as
Hey,
DSB.
D. Yeah, DSB. Well, it's my logo, and I tried for years to name my business, and my business went through several different types of naming ceremonies and christenings and all of that.
Mhm.
But the bottom line was people were remembering me, and they were not remembering the names. So eventually it just became DS Bellinger Consulting Incorporated. And there it is. And then everything else I do is under that umbrella. It
Well,
works out really well.
and that's beautiful, and it sounds like the metamorphosis of many business owners that they have to learn somewhere along the line, especially if they haven't learned it in the beginning. And that is, you are your product long before you sell your product or your service. So how long did it take you to recognize that in your own business?
Decades,
Wow.
decades. Because I have been in a lot of interesting circles. I was on the national board for a group called the National Alliance of Market Developers, which was over 60 years old at the time that I was with the organization. And I was always surrounded by these brilliant individuals who were into marketing and into sales conversations and in publishing and things like that. My dear friend, the late Ken Smichael, he was always naming things. You know, he loved acronyms, and he was very, very quick on his feet with those things. And his nickname for me, because my initials were DB, he used to call me Decibel, because that was the whatever
the
it
energy
is
you brought to the room.
Well, no, that's on the periodic table or whatever that thing is. That
Okay.
was the abbreviation for decibel, and so he'd always call me decibels in the house. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. But they always wanted to name things. They always were into branding things. And eventually, talking to him and a few other people, we just decided, cut to the chase. Just cut to the chase and just be who you are, because that's what people are buying. And when I co-founded a tech firm, someone came to me and said, we're going to go ahead and move into setting up our own tech firm. And I was like, well, that's really nice, but do you know how much money that takes? Sis doesn't have that. Okay, I really don't have that. He says, no, we'll give you 49% of the business. All we want you to do is go out and sell, because people know, like, and trust you, and your reputation's clean. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we went up into seven figures very quickly, based on relationships, and then also, you know, that thing we're going to be talking about today: consistently communicating your competence, being your brand, being within integrity, and that carries you further, because we switch jobs, we switch products, but it's you. We buy from people we know, like, and trust.
I love it. And as we jump in today's topic, consistently communicating your competence, you know what? I want you to talk to us. What's your definition of sales competency, as we use that as a framework for our conversation today?
But when you're talking about being competent in sales, it's about developing the reputation that allows you to be able to identify the needs of the prospect, identifying where that individual fits into your sales process. Yes, you have to have a sales process, and I'm just telling you. Yes, there's a
Yeah,
process. There's a method to the madness.
That looks like the resistance that you get from your clients every time you say that, right?
Yeah. And because they just want to hurry up and get to the teller window. You know, they want to go from the business card to the bank. It doesn't work like that. But also in that sales competency, it's being able to have repeatable results. Being able to just know how to crank this thing out, do the rinse and repeat, which is why you have that sales process. A part of that also is knowing what you do and what you don't, so that you build the right team around you. When I was in one particular firm in sales, I learned I couldn't get what I needed from my managers. We just didn't like each other. It just wasn't going to happen. Their method of selling and their style of sales was not mine. I wasn't comfortable with it. But what I did do is create a team around me. That team was made up of all of the people who were delivering the services, all of the people who were scheduling the services. I got in with those people. I hung with the trainers and with the techs, and helped set up classrooms, and just, you know, humbly got in there and did everything that they were doing. And they made sure that everything that I had to do was done to the highest of their ability. And I made sure that they always got all of the accolades.
A lot of the definition of sales competency to you had to do with learning who you needed to interact with or collaborate with to competently affect sales. Does that sound about right?
That's about right. But then you also have to be able to, as we said at the top, you have to be able to communicate it. it's disheartening to go into a networking event and see people wandering around with no sense of purpose. All they knew was this is an event they needed to go to, but they didn't know why. They didn't know what to pull out of it. And if a really good opportunity came in front of them, they would flub it. It would just leak through their fingers like sand because they weren't able to capture it because they were not prepared. So when I wrote my first book, which was called You Lost Me at Hello, Actionable Principles That Move You Beyond Networking, I wrote that book because I was tired of answering the same questions over and over again. Donna, how come you can walk into a room and you don't know anybody in the room, and by the time you leave, everybody knows you? You know, what do you do when you're trying to get to the high up person in the room, and how do you introduce yourself and make those things happen? And 70 pages later with a lot of notes and big type and all of that, I'm like, no, really, it's not that hard to do it. But you have to be confident in your abilities and able to communicate your value so that they understand why, out of all of the people in this room, or all of the people on that Zoom, or wherever the situation happens to be within your company or what have you, why choose you?
So let's just jump right into it. So, because that's the question of the hour. How do you consistently communicate your competence? Now, you've got a couple of tips that you want to share with us, but let's dig deeper. Let's delve into it. First, how did that question become a center block of what you talk about around the sales conversation to begin with, and then take us through how we can consistently communicate our competence to others.
I had to learn how to say it too.
Yeah. I call it the CCC.
Yeah, and I was calling it the 3 C's, but yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. So the first thing you need to do is acknowledge the fact that for most of us, 82% of us have sales as some component of our position. And I tell my clients regularly that it shows up in the job description as other duties as specified.
Yes.
That's that little thing. It's that little thing.
Yes.
Because if you're the receptionist, you're the face of the company. If you're the janitor, you're setting the stage. All right. If you're the manager, how do you lead? How do you attract top talent? How do you retain top talent? So all of those are sales conversations. But most of us never intended to do sales. So we never trained for it. And for a lot of us, we don't even like it because we have a stereotype in our heads as to what sales is.
Yeah.
Sales is not talking someone out of their money. Sales is not manipulating people into a transaction. True sales is service. That's what it is. Sales is service. And you're like, no, it's not. I have to sell this particular widget. Wonderful. What problem does this widget solve? What does it solve? Why do I need this thing? Okay. Is it going to make my life better? Is it going to make me healthier? Is it going to make me more attractive? Is it going to give me a particular type of status? Why do I want this thing? What does it do? And the definition of that should answer the question or address the statement. I would pay for that. I would pay for that result. If you can't confidently give them a soundbite on why they need that particular thing and what value it brings to them, then don't even go out and start pitching it. Don't even go out and do that. Because you'll get lucky, but it won't be consistent. It's interesting that a lot of companies tell us when they first start out, you're going to go with the top 100 or 200 people that you know, and you're going to sell to them first. There's a reason that they do that. And
Mhm.
that's that they want you to get all of the mistakes out so you don't burn their leads because they paid a lot for those leads. They don't, I know these things.
Uh-huh.
That's why if you're gonna make a fool of yourself, do it with your friends and your family. Don't
Right.
do it with the leads that we had to pay $200, $300, $400 for these people to say, yes, we'll talk to one of your representatives.
That
That's
that
why they start you out with that.
that
All right.
hidden method behind the madness, right?
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. With me coming up through the ranks the way that I did, I was that fly on the wall. And I paid attention to everything that was going on, all the little hidden conversations and things that uh, sometimes they're in the book, many times they're not. But that's what hi Betty, that's what you want to make sure that you're clear on. What is the value that you bring? You have to be able to clarify what makes you different. Why choose you? There are a lot of options out there, and people are not buying based on price anymore. If you're trying to just buy on price, what do? You get online and you Google it. Who's got it cheaper? How many reviews does it have? Okay, that's the one. Push the button, whatever, and you're done. But when you are talking about sales as service, they're looking for something a little bit different. They're looking for the person that they can call if
Right.
something isn't working right. They're looking for the person who's going to say, hey, you know what? I need to give you a heads up. This is what's going on with the product. This is what's going on with the product. You know, um, the Apple model is one that's very, very popular. Apple gets you into their cycle and then you just swirl like a clock.
They don't let you go.
They don't let you go. You're in, you get the upgrades, you get the accessories. You know, it's just this and this and that and that. And you all, bless your hearts, just pay for the opportunity to test their products over and over and over again.
I'm facetious, especially when you talk about the Apple dynasty. I'm facetious because I say Apple is the devil because they'll get you in with their phone, then they'll get you in with the iPad, then they'll switch up the iPad and come up with the iPad Mini, and then they'll upgrade the headphones, and then every 2 years they'll change it all over again so that you have to come back and they the customers facetiously, I said facetiously, look like zombies. I mean, I can drive by an Apple store at midnight or 3 in the morning, and there's somebody in the store waiting for the next thing to come out. And
It's
so,
amazing.
but it's amazing in one hand, but it is phenomenal in the other because there's a part of the sales dynamic where you want to train your customers to always be your customers, to
Oh, you do
always
have to
come
do
back.
that.
Yeah, and
No,
and
that's true.
they do it to a great advantage. And when we talk about your point, sales is not always dependent on price. I look at it like this. So I'm this person. I want to be able to touch, feel, and see the product. So I'm not so much into online sales, even though COVID and the pandemic has required us to really be more dependent upon that. So I will pay more for, say, for example, going into a store and looking at the laptop or looking at the phone and touching it and feeling it than I will to go on Amazon because the price may be 25% cheaper online. I will pay more for my comfort level of being able to touch, feel, and know the product that I'm getting before I buy it than I will just buying something because there is a deep discount. So going back to your point, is it's important for business owners to recognize not just it is not that you just have the best price, but do you have the best service? If something happens to that phone, will I be able to come back to you and get that phone taken care of, or do I have to ship it overseas or across country and wait
Oh,
three
mercy.
weeks to get it back? You know what I'm saying
No, I
about
know
that?
exactly what you're saying. And like I said, sales is service. That's why
Yes.
they're going to choose you. It is for service. So the other challenge, though, that a lot of us have is that we don't pre-qualify a good opportunity. You meet someone and you're figuring, okay, they're living and they're breathing. So they got a credit card. So yeah. And the way you can find that, oh Lord, raise your hand or put an asterisk in the chat or whatever. If you are tired or you are guilty of hearing people say, I'm looking for anybody who, dot, dot, dot. I'm looking for everybody who, dot, dot, dot. I'm looking for somebody who, somebody, please. No, because you are not pre-qualified. So there are three ways that I categorize people. There is a fourth that I'll discuss, but the three ways that I categorize individuals that I meet is number one, are they a suspect? A suspect is a someday sale. All right. So do I suspect that someday this could be a deal in the making? Terrific. Then there's the prospect. All right. And the prospect is what I call a payday. All right. It's like ding, ding, ding. I can close this person in a short sales cycle. Ooh, this is a good hot prospect. And then there's also the ambassador. And some people also call that the engager. But this is the person who helps you to raise your visibility and invites you into rooms that maybe you didn't know existed, like when I got invited in the clubhouse, or introduces you to the type of contact that you need to find your next opportunity, either in your business or in your career. But you are dealing with, are they a suspect? You suspect that they will be a client for you one day, but it's going to be a longer sales process. Are they a prospect? They're a payday, ding, ding, ding. Or are they an ambassador? Someone who's not going to be a sale for you, but they are definitely someone who has connections to the people that you need to meet. Maybe they'd be a good partner for you. You serve the same audience, but in different ways that don't compete with each other. But these are the things that you need to figure out when you are meeting individuals and when you are scheduling the meeting after the meet, which is my favorite thing, because you've got that cardboard connecting, or if you are on Zoom, it's that chat that you save, right? You hit the three dots at the bottom, you save the chat, and then you take that and you do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Or if you do something with it, what do? You send them your brochure, your link. I'd like to talk to you about my business. I don't care about your business. No one goes to a networking event to buy anything. The only person they're going to listen to a pitch from is a sponsor. That's it. And the main reason you pay attention to the sponsors is because you know that they know some of the decision makers.
Right.
They had to know somebody important in order to get that coveted spot in the room. So don't go into any networking event trying to pitch everybody. It's a rookie mistake. It is a rookie mistake. It moves you from a professional down to the level of peddler.
Wow. You say that again. Somebody missed that one. Wow. That's a powerful statement.
Trying to sell at a networking event moves you from the level of professional down to peddler.
Man, it moves you down from the person with the business suit to the person standing outside the convention center waiting for the business suit to come out. That's a great analogy, and I hope you guys, you're getting that picture in your head. That's why we've got the business development consultant for leaders of sales team on the show today, Miss DSB, Donna Smith Bellinger of DS Bellinger Consulting LLC. We're talking about raising the level of your sales competency, and she has been dropping nuggets throughout this broadcast. So hopefully you will hit the replay button if you missed some of the others, but hopefully you got your pen and paper if you are just dropping in on us right now. We just want to acknowledge Dee Bowden was in the room. Let's acknowledge Betty Speaks is in the house. She says The sales is service. We
Yes,
also
ma'am.
have Maria Montalvo, who's in Oklahoma. She's joining the broadcast this morning. Good morning, Maria. Thank you guys for joining us. Keep telling us where you're watching us from, and keep dropping in any comments or any questions that may come to mind as you meditate on your own sales competency on Talking Small Business with Terrence. Now, we talked about a couple of things already that you have mentioned, but I want to go back to one of the first things that you had mentioned to me in our conversation beforehand. And it's something that, I've struggled with as that part of the 82% of my own sales strategies in my own coaching business. It's the sales is not about the wait and see. And you correct me if I'm looking at this statement the wrong way. When I think about sales and the wait and see, I think about I give my best sales pitch. I give them all the benefits of what it is going to be like to work with me. I tell them who my ideal client is, what I'm not looking for, what I'm not going to waste my time with if I'm not the right fit for you. Because again, I want to be of service to you, not just sell you. Another sales strategist says to make sales without being salesy. And that's what I definitely don't want to be. I don't want everything coming out of my mouth to sound like it's a sales pitch. But then comes that moment after the sales pitch that I call the wait and see. Wait and see, what are they going to do? Wait and see, when are they going to do it? Wait and see how they're going to do it. You say sales is not about the wait and see. What do you mean?
Okay. First of all, it goes back to the pre-qualification. Okay, and not just the three categories that we talked about, but also the questions that you ask in the discovery process with a person that you're having a meeting with. So I start out probing. Probing is key in any conversation because you need to understand what their top of mind challenges are. When you go in to book a call with me, one of the questions that I ask is, what have you already tried? And that's a great pre-qualification question when you say, okay, what's your biggest challenge? I need a house, or I need a car, or, I need a service, or what have you. Really? Okay, how long have you had that challenge? 6 months, 6 years, 150 days, whatever. What have you already tried to alleviate that? And there you want to get clear. Are they going for the free options? Or what have you invested?
Yes.
All right. Then the other thing is, all right, so then what has this cost you? What has it cost you in money, in health, in relationships, in, whatever? Where's it hurt? Where is this hurting you in your life? Okay, now I understand key things. Now, depending upon what the problem is, they may not be an ideal person for me, but I may be able to refer them to somebody else. I'm not even going to pitch it. You don't do an ask for someone who's not your ideal client. However, if their challenge is something that you are able to address, it's like, oh, I've dealt with that before. Let me tell you a story. And then you tell them a story. One of my favorite stories is a mechanical engineer that I worked with who is not in sales. But this individual had a few self-esteem issues, and some cultural things were coming to bite them in the butt. And the bottom line was that they felt that they were being ignored, overlooked, and not fully utilized in their job. As I showed that person how to communicate into the listening of the people who are in the decision-making body, and again, that goes with probing and pre-qualification, we were able to create conversations that they were able to use within their job that resulted in 12 months later, a 30% increase in their salary and relocating to a Fortune 100 company. But this year, I got a message from them that said, as a result of working with you, I was expecting a 15% bonus this year. I got a 20% bonus. I was raised to the highest level in my category in my company, and my performance points went from 10 to 15. So, Mr., Mrs., John Q., whomever, is this the kind of results that you were looking for? That's exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, okay, yeah, well, I've dealt with that. What should happen then is, well, how can we work together? Or, my nephew needs that. I got somebody I need you to meet. But you tell the story so that they see themselves in that winning situation and they see you as the individual who can put them in that spotlight. Then you don't have to pitch it. They're going to say, how do I get that? What did you actually have to do? Oh, well, that's information I share with my clients.
Well, what you said, and that's powerful. Thank you for sharing it. But what you said is probably that extra step that you took that many people who are just looking at the sales conversation would have stopped at, is when they find out in the probing that this is not their ideal client. So they just, okay, well, I don't think we're the right fit. I can't help you.
I would never say, I can't help you. I would never say, I can't help you. But it would be, my solution isn't for you. However, I got something for you. I have someone for you. Why? Because now you're their valued resource. And when they have a problem that you can solve, where are they going to come?
To you.
Your pal.
And it goes back to what you said. You did not just try to sell that prospect or that suspect, depending on who it was at the time of the conversation. You still did a level of service, and it might have been free service at that time, but it was service with the potential ROI somewhere down the future. And that's what I like about that approach that you just illustrated. It was service oriented first, even though you already had an inkling in your mind that what you specifically do, that suspect does not need. You still attempted to service them to get them to the point that they will be able to use your services somewhere in the future. So and it's a residual right there, because not only did you create the possibility for them to be a client in the future, you also created a referral source by which they will start sending other people that may more be tightly connected to what product and service you provide. So I love that. I love that. And that's why
the most important part, though, oh, bless your heart. The most important part, though, is that story.
Yes.
Okay. That shows what? Your competence.
Yes.
All right. Yes. And so I'll wrap up the wait and see portion of it, and then I'll get into the testimonials. But here's what happens far too often. And I see this particularly with my people in media, or, if you're selling a widget or whatever, and you go in and you do what the company told you to do, and you sit down and you got that blasted flip chart and you go through all of these things, and then you sit back and you're like, okay, and you're waiting for them to say yes. That's waiting. No. If you probe properly and the scope of the project, the budget, and the time frame. Okay, so what is it you need to fix? Okay, do you have the money for this now? Have you invested in this before? Yeah. Okay, great. How soon do you want this handled? Oh, we're going to do this in about 90 days. Terrific. Now, I'm not going to worry about you for 90 days. I'll touch you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to keep running back trying to move you forward and bugging the bejesus out of you when you already told me this is 60, 90 days down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But in other cases, how do you have someone sit there and say, I'm ready? Yes, I want this, and not close it right then and there, not close the transaction. You leave and say, okay, I'll come back with the contract. For what? For what? No. You got your laptop there? Terrific. Send them the invoice right there, my email to your email. Pull out the credit card. I'll walk you through the payment. Great. How soon do you want it delivered? I got you. What else do you need? I got you. When I run into individuals that are making multiple stops to a client's office, multiple emails, all of that, no, you don't have it. You have not closed that transaction. Okay? Because again, they should be ready to work with you. They should be ready. I don't beg people to work with me because those wind up being the people that I hate to service.
Yeah.
Because they're going to want, they're going to smell blood. It's like blood in the water for sharks. They
Mm-hmm.
smell desperation. They know peddlers. They
Mm-hmm.
know peddlers. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the other really important thing, because I know we're getting ready to wrap up. I have a thing that I do with all of my clients, and we craft what I call yes-testimonials. Yes-testimonials. The objective, some people call them testimonials. I call them yes-testimonials.
And I
And
love that.
it's and here's why it's a yes-testimonial. Because when they hear the final point, the final line in that statement, that's a result that they would pay for. So when I told you the story about that mechanical engineer, and I said they were expecting a 10% bonus, but they got 15% bonus, and they went to the highest bracket in their category, I know somebody said, shoot, I pay for that.
Right.
Yes.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yes.
And that's ultimately what you want to get. You not in the full circle. You want to start off from a level of service. Service leads to sales. Sales leads to giving your client a yes experience where they can give you that yes testimonial, and then because of that yes testimonial, now that's something you can share with other suspects, prospects, or ambassadors to
It's like that
create.
Apple model.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got them.
yeah,
You got
and
them. That
that
mechanical engineer took a 4-day gimme kind of program with me back in the day. Just
hmm
a little 4-day something.
okay,
And that turned into something else that turned into private work that we've been doing for about 3 years.
okay,
All right. And they send me people and they vet what it's this is the stuff that you want to have because you know how we all are. We're freaking sheep. We follow the herd.
yeah,
We just do. It's a herd mentality. And so the people who get your initial attention are going to be people that people are talking about.
hmm
All right. So you want to be that person that people are talking about in a positive manner. I
yeah.
got something I'll tell you when we get off the air about what I say about that for real. But
Okay,
I got this
I'm
stuff for
looking
you're
forward.
old enough to hear that. But
I'm looking forward to it.
I won't do that to your show. But yeah, that's it. So
Ultimately, ultimately, you want your clients to tell your future clients why they paid for that result so that it becomes incumbent upon your future clients to say, yeah, I'd pay for that result as well. That's my yes testimonial. And that is a great, 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 and hopefully it's not trademark because I'm going to use that a couple of times. I'll give you credit the first 3 times and then it's mine, DSB. Man, oh man, I hope you guys are digging the information that DSB is giving you today. We're upgrading your sales competency. We are helping you to understand that sales is not always about the price. We're helping you to understand that you have to clarify what makes you different, why they should choose you over everybody else who does what you do. Because trust and believe, you're not the only one doing what you do, but it's how you do what you do and who you are when you do it that makes the difference between me choosing you or someone else. And so, as you ponder our conversation today, I want you to start thinking about how do you consistently communicate your competence in your business. If you're watching us live, put how you do that in the chat. If you are watching the replay, put it in the chat. Either way, we always go back and we look at the comments and we answer any questions that may come up after the show has aired live or after you hear it on our podcast partners, Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple, all of those platforms. The audio version will be available shortly after the live broadcast. So as we come down the back end of the show, Donna, talk a little bit more about what DS Bellinger Consulting LLC offers in their range of services.
Oh, thank you so much for asking. Individuals can work with me in a number of ways. If you just want a little taste of things that are going on, please trot on over to YouTube, and you can get some wonderful nuggets on my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Clubhouse, Saturdays at 1 p.m. I am on Clubhouse. We're talking about referrals. We talk about sales conversations. I do spotlight coaching on that, and that's a wonderful thing. You can have a private conversation with me. Just go over to my website, askdsb.com. I work with you in private sessions. I can work with groups. I can come in and speak or train your office. And I just love being able to give that assistance. I'm also a speaker, an author, and a facilitator. So if you need some of this energy in your events, I'm your girl.
Wow, she is definitely your girl. So check her out on her YouTube channel as well as on Clubhouse. If you have your iPhone, Android, not yet, but check her out on Clubhouse anyway. And definitely everybody can go check her out on her website at www.askdsb.DonnaSmithBellinger.com. Let's see, got any other comments? D. Bowden says, great tips, DSB. Man, you just brought it some great points today, and we appreciate you taking out this time to help us upgrade our sales competency so that we can be better small businessmen, future major business owners. You got a final thought that you want to leave with us before we close out today?
Well, sure. Well, first of all, though, let me thank you for the opportunity to share and for your very kind words coming from you. High praise. High praise.
You're very welcome.
You started with a quote, and I want to end with a quote. This is one of my favorites. I adopted it years ago. It's from Eleanor Roosevelt. And Eleanor Roosevelt said, never allow anyone to tell you no, all right, that does not have the authority to tell you yes.
Wow.
And that works, in sales. It's like the receptionist can't tell you no. She can't sign the check. She's not the deciding authority. And again, all the people who are telling you what you can't do, change your zip code, change your crowd. Surround yourself with people who see more in you than you see in yourself.
That is a great way to end our show today. Donna Smith Bellinger, DS Bellinger Consulting LLC. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on the TSBT. I know that people are going to be enriched, they're going to be educated, and they're going to be enlightened by the topic as well as the nuggets that you shared with us today. And by all means, please come back and join us on the show sometime in the near future, okay?
You have but to ask, kind sir.
I just love this woman. Don't go offline. We'll talk. We'll chat more at the end. But again, you can reach out to Donna. Go to her website at www.askdsb #AskDSB.com, and you can get all the information about her and her services and how you can reach out to her. And you can check her out on social media, on her Clubhouse channel and her YouTube channel. And she really loves to play on LinkedIn. So if you are on LinkedIn, you can find her on LinkedIn as well. Well, you guys, that is a wrap. thank you guys for sharing and staying with us for another episode of Talking Small Business with Terrence, where we help businesses move from being stuck into being unstoppable. And hey, you know what? We always love to bring this quality programming to you. So if you are interested in becoming a sponsor, or if you're interested in donating to the show to continue to bring this quality programming, just look at the bottom of the screen. It's scrolling across where you can be a sponsor of the show. We accept Cash App, we accept Zelle, any forms of payment we can accept to help ensure that we bring quality guests to the show. And maybe you were so inspired by what Donna said that maybe you want to be a guest and share your expertise on Talking Small Business with Terrence, where we got you covered. You can do it two ways. You can either go directly to my website, unstoppablecoaching.com, sign up on the contact form to be a guest on the show, or you can email me directly at tleffridge@unstoppablecoaching.com. Either way works for us. We just want to share your expertise with other small business owners so that they can go from being stuck into being unstoppable. And who knows, you may be the next guest on Talking Small Business with Terrence. And as always, wherever you are in the world today, don't just make it a great day. Go out, upgrade your sales competency, and make it an unstoppable day. Take care.